Chapter 5904. The man with a yellow robe and high crown was stunned for a moment, frowned and said, "How terrifying is it? Has it been beaten in the seven tribulations realm?" "Small, the structure is smaller. I am the realm king beyond the existence of the nine tribulations. I say horror, you say how strong he will be." The realm king was a bit speechless, thinking that he had accepted a two-bow apprentice and didn't understand anything. And this apprentice is Wu Zhuo, who came from Qi Temple. From entering the ancient moon time and space, he was trapped in the Wuhua secret realm, and later came into contact with the realm king, and soon became the lord of the universe. In the spiritual time house built by the realm king, he even cultivated for 1,000,000 eras in one breath, and now he is almost the lord of the five tribulations realm universe. Except for Zhen Wushuang, among the 10 people this time, the fastest practiced. And luck is one by one. Although Zhen Wushuang practiced faster. But what is the life in exchange? Wu Zhuo followed the realm king, either practicing in retreat, or going hunting with the realm king, eating, drinking, and having fun. Played and played to the five tribulations realm. Just blow it up. The last time you encountered a desolate beast of the five tribulations level, you couldn't solve it, but I had to do it. Wu Zhuo had short hair and little knowledge, and he didn't take the realm king as a matter at all. Thinking that the other party is a true spirit, or a powerful person who has fallen, the consciousness left behind. There is no fighting power. Although it was a master-disciple relationship, the two didn't have any pretensions. That's because I didn't give my full strength. The realm king blushed, and he was very uncomfortable being exposed. For a while, all the powerhouses in Jiuyu time and space looked towards Jiumu continent. There are also many strong men who have already begun to leave, wanting to go to Gumu continent to find out. But the breath that these people feel. Not from Kai Zhouxiao. Nor is it Zhen Wushuang and others. It can even be said that he is not in Wanliu divine realm, but in the 16 kingdoms of grass. Within the territory of Vietnam. Thousands of miles are uninhabited. There is no cultivator within hundreds of millions of miles. Become an empty city. There is stone country. After the ancestors of Shiguo were dispatched, there were few strong people in Shiguo. There is only one dying seven tribulations realm. Which seven tribulations realm who was dying was completely dead now. Stepping on the body of the seven tribulations realm, a monster is constantly growing. Except for the daughter of the state-owned Yunji, the 16 nations are in town, none of them are spared. Jejie, it's time to go to the secret realm, because he can feel that there are countless eyes staring at him. They are all rushing to him. But it will take some time to arrive. Before leaving the 16 kingdoms of the grass, the monster withdrew a heavy shell. The appearance has also been completely renewed. Wanliu divine realm. Zhen Wushuang's reincarnation sword once again blocked Kai Zhouxiao. However, because the follow-up origin couldn't keep up, it was finally taken over by Kai Zhouxiao steadily. The goal has been achieved, and Dan Bao will have the rest. Zhen Wushuang, who retreated behind everyone, looked at Dan Bao. The bottom of my heart is also very curious, how powerful the current Dan Bao will be. I also want to see what the power of God is like. The he saw was Weiss. At the beginning of the robbery, Weiss' hands were stunned to see him. If Dan Bao also had that ability, he could really walk sideways. Kai Zhouxiao strode out, claws with one hand, and grabbed Dan Bao. Everyone flinched, waiting for Dan Bao's shot. Before the giant claw touched Dan Bao, it was blocked by a shield. That is a shield of green origin cohesion. He firmly took the claw. Retreat. Dan Bao waved his hand, his scepter pointed directly at Kai Zhouxiao. The other party actually took a half step back. But then he attacked again. The claws kept bombarding the shield. In the distance, Bobby jumped with anger. I thought Kai Zhouxiao was here and could solve everything. Unexpectedly, he was stopped by a young guy who was still stinking. Leave him alone and kill others. Bobby Emperor had to change his attention again. The current Kai Zhouxiao is enough to kill the others, but it will take some time. Kai Zhouxiao received the order without any hesitation. Turning his head and rushing towards Zhen Wushuang. This scared Zhen Wushuang, and quickly tried to hide. But at this time, Dan Bao's shield directly expanded. Wrap them all up. Kai Jiuxiao ran into the shield again. It can still be like this. Jian Wushuang raised his head and glanced at the shield. Can block Kai Jiuxiao's shield. Wouldn't it be invincible? The Lord of the Eight Tribulations realm came, and there was no way. The old monk was also very excited and said loudly, "Don't worry, the little Lord has mastered the path to becoming a god. As long as he enters the Wanliu divine realm again, he can truly step into the position of the gods." Blue was very happy to hear this. This time their Palunga tribe can truly exist forever. No need to rely on the shelter of others. Shenmu King and Hungmu Lord are a little bit embarrassed. The former is envious. The latter is fearful. Envy the other person to become a god. Why can't I be jealous of myself? Fortunately, both can get corresponding benefits. Although the Lord of Hungmu was jealous, he didn't think of becoming a god, and of course he didn't want to see others become gods. His original pursuit was the Nine Tribulations realm. With the treasure refined by Pill Treasure, he has a chance to become the Nine Tribulations realm. Now the treasure is gone, but it's not bad to find a position of a divine envoy. There is barely a loss. It's just a little bad mood. It's more uncomfortable to see others stronger than yourself. Especially Dan Bao, this little furry boy. Compared with the Lord of Hungmu, the pattern of the King of Shenmu is very big. The of life. That is the of life in Bei Shikong. The lives of the nine great time and space are all under Dan Bao's jurisdiction. Even if he didn't do any divine envoy, he could still break away from the ancient moon religion by virtue of Dan Bao's relationship. Since leaving the door, you can also get the opportunity to resurrect. And chances are almost a certainty. He is still relatively happy. The most uncomfortable thing on the court is Bobby Di, that he also pursues. But it is not a true god, but a demigod. Only master the secret of resurrection. No matter what the deity of life. With the law of resurrection, he can indirectly control all the robbery. Hasn't he become the master of the nine great time and space? Damn it. Bobby Emperor gritted his teeth, but was helpless. He is currently behind. Even if he entered the God Ascension stairs of Wanliu Shenmu, he was still inferior to Dan Bao. But now that he has been placed on this stove, he has to go forward without any retreat. And this road is not something he can take if he wants to. Now the initiative is entirely in Dan Bao's hands. Everything is because of that treasure. The green ball on the scepter. Dan Bao looked down on the sentient beings, and said calmly, "I don't want to fight, but I can't help myself. If this is the case, then enter Wanliu and step on the ladder of God." Chapter 5905. The old monk immediately took the lead and said loudly, "Okay, I am willing to follow my master forever." Shenmu King and Hungmu Lord also bowed quickly. Wu Li knelt down directly. Jian Wushuang shook his head, secretly saying that he is a family. He didn't show anything. Becoming a has nothing to do with him. He just wants to leave now. Dan Bao has the protection of so many people. He doesn't need him anymore. It's better to leave and find Wu Zuo or Zhen Wuyang. He just wanted to take the opportunity to leave, but Wes inside his body stopped him again. You are the most stupid to leave at this time. To enter Wanliu, you do not need to do anything to witness the coming of a god. The most important thing is that you can get the blessing of God. This is very important. There will be some special treasures. How can it be wasted if you have such a good relationship with this little guy? Weiss' words made him stunned. God's blessing. There are also special treasures. He doesn't know this. But even Weiss said it was a special treasure. That should be precious. But lying to win, he really disdains to do this kind of thing. Besides, he has no shortage of treasures now. The divine power has Dongjun's bones, and he can still improve. If you need treasures, just do it yourself. What's the point of following others? If he has not yet become the Lord of the universe, he may do so under the pressure of extinction. But now he is already the Lord of the Six Tribulations realm universe, there is no need to do this. He has a lot of time to do other things to improve his strength. No, I have my own way to go. Weiss' eyes were surprised, and he didn't try to dissuade him after another thought. He said indifferently, I didn't expect you to be quite spine. In that case, do me a favor and go to the willows and help me find something. After it's done, I will give you the first half of the freedom Jigong. Freedom to work hard. Jian Wushuang's eyes widened, and he couldn't believe it and asked, Isn't it going to break through the pagoda of 9 tribulations? How can I still give it away? I'm a god, nothing I can't do. Weiss grinned, covering his mouth. Since you are all gods, why do you still need the treasures in the willows? This question really made Weiss stunned. After thinking for a moment, he said honestly, It's not that I need that treasure, but that my cat needs it. After speaking, he lowered his hand to touch the purple kitten in his arms. This is fine too. He couldn't figure out what kind of Weiss was. Not only can the supreme rule be changed, but for a cat, he can go to Wanliu to find treasures. The purple kitten is very thin and has no breath on it, but he can be sure that the cat is not a god. It might really be an ordinary cat, but the skin is purple. And there is no hair yet. This cat is the first life purified from your universe. Helping it means helping yourself. If you want to say that, doesn't it mean that I have taken advantage of you? Although Jian Wushuang's mouth was a little hard, he felt joy in his heart when he heard that this cat was a life in his own universe. Although his own universe is completely played by Weiss. But the other party is a god, how to play is good for him. As for whether to go to Wanliu, he was still a little tangled. Turning his head and glanced at Dan Bao, from the innocent eyes of the other party, he seemed to see Hua Qing once. The two are very similar in personalities. Kind and simple, nor is it combative. If such a person becomes a god, he can be considered more convinced. It's just that now that he enters Wanliu, let alone chance, he will be dragged down. The strongest who entered Wanliu now were the 7 tribulations realm at their weakest. Counting Wu Li, the master of the universe in the 6 tribulations realm. He was barely second to last. Of course, with real combat power, he may be able to reach the top 10. But it can't control the battle. Maybe there is a big battle in there. What should I do then? Just when raising money, Brew came over. Benefactor, what are your plans for the current situation? When Blue came, he looked around. He felt that neither the Shunmu King nor the Hungmu Lord were good people. He was not at ease with the sudden appearance of the great monk. In the end, he came to Jian Wushuang and wanted to seek advice. This made Jian Wushuang very useful, and he made a decision right now. Go with. Must go in. Since others have given him such a face, it would be nice to go there. Even if you can't help much, it's okay to come up with an idea. Sometimes, strategy works better than strength. At the beginning, helping the true spirit and solving the Frozer was not relying on his strategy. Perhaps entering Wanliu is not about fighting and killing, but about humanity. Dan Bao's figure slowed down, and he also took the initiative to come to Jian Wushuang's side. When the others saw this, they also gathered around. Jian Wushuang swallowed, and after scanning a circle, he said, Since Dan Bao can open Wanliu, let's go in. But what if Emperor Bobby keeps following? At present he still cares more about Barbie Di. Although Dan Bao could block Kai Jiuxiao. But it's just a shield. It is not true combat power. There is always a bad feeling. It would be better to get rid of Barbie Di, and then they enter Wanliu again. Don't worry, among the willows, it's not strength that decides everything. The Bobby Emperor, even if he brings people in, it's nothing. Anyway, they don't have the treasures to open the way to gods, and they won't be able to enter the willows. Hinder us. The old monk was most familiar with Wn Liu, and immediately lifted the threat of Emperor Bobby. Jian Wushuang nodded, and then continued, If that's the case, then go in, but make it clear in advance that since everyone is in the same boat, then you have to make an oath. This is good for everyone. I agree. The Lord of Hungmu was the first to stand up. He was the first to take refuge, and he gave up his treasure. Give it to Dan Bao. Just ask for a divine position. I agree. Soon, the people led by King Shunmu began to order the oath to be taken. Now that there is no hope of becoming a god, Shunmu Wang only wants to master the secret method of resurrection. Reignite road repairs. This is what he needs most at the moment. On the old monk's side, he had made an oath early, so naturally there was no problem. Except for Wu Li, all the oaths were taken. Me too. Before Wu Li could speak, he was interrupted. Obviously everyone didn't take him seriously. The old monk hugged Wu Li carelessly, and comforted, "Little old man, you are our lucky star. You don't need to take an oath, but the benefits are still there. I am most familiar with Wanliu. It can make you a treasure in the 7 tribulations realm. After the little master succeeds, I will get one. Then I will become the 7 tribulations realm. I will also arrange a priesthood for you." Chapter 5906. After saying this, the elders of the ancient wood school all cast envy eyes. Wu Li was even more excited. This time the holy meeting, the greatest winner. It is none other than him. From the 3 tribulations realm, all the way to the 6 tribulations realm. I recognized a relative. He is also a strong man at the peak of the 8 tribulations realm. Now on the list is a future of life. In the future, he would have difficulty in death. Since everything is fine, then go in. Good. Everyone nodded. Dan Bao's eyes were tenacious, and he felt as if the sky had fallen to the people, and his tone was slightly low and said, "This time I'm relying on you all. Little things. It's okay. My own person." The difference from this side is that Barbie Di is almost annoyed. It is clear that Kai Jiuxiao has broken everything, but the road to becoming a does not have his part. Secret technique of resurrection. Emperor Bobby gritted his teeth, his eyes full of fear. "I swear to the death, follow them, I don't believe it." It was just that his words did not cause Jian Wushuang's discomfort. Instead, he regards Barbie Di as heir. Dan Bao waved his scepter, and a map fell in front of them. The entrance to Wanliu is right there. Everyone looked at the red entrance along the map. Jian Wushuang was surprised. The infinite world. The entrance to Wanliu turned out to be in the infinite world. This is really surprising. After running a lap, it turned out to be where they came in. The Roman bottom of the infinite world. That is the blessed place where Wu Li retreats. Sky. Lord Hungmu almost stared out. The entrance of Wanliu Shenmu was right in front of his eyes, and it was missed. All of a sudden, mixed feelings. At the same time extremely regretful. Finally fell into peace. Everything is destined. Although surprised, nothing is impossible. Set off. Dan Bao took the lead, and the green protective cover had been covering them all the time. Not afraid of being attacked by Kai Jiuxiao. Just go to the infinite world in such a mighty and mighty world. Don't talk about encountering a beast on the road, there is not even a beast. After leaving Wanliu Divine Realm, he entered the infinite world. Now those powerhouses from outside the 7 tribulations realm have just arrived here. It happened to meet Jian Wushuang and others head-on. The visitor is not an outsider. It is the refiner who is familiar with Jian Wushuang. After seeing each other, he also understood what these people meant. I explained it at will. The old monk meant that the more people, the better. Anyway, Wanliu Shenmu, how many people enter it is the same. Just don't confront them. Otherwise, it would be a trouble for these people to join Empress Bobby. Randomly explained the reason with Lianxing. These people are naturally willing. They have made oaths and will never betray. Dan Bao is also generous, directly pouring out the power of life, helping those 7 tribulations realms dispersal, and instantly restore to the peak. This scene convinced them even more. Resurrection is just around the corner. Just helped these people regain their combat power. The Sirius Lord, who followed them all the way to refine the stars, also arrived at this time. Thanks Tusk, you really found it. The Sirius Lord's expression sank. Then he set his eyes on Jian Wushuang's body. But when he saw the strong men behind Jian Wushuang clearly, his eyes almost fell to the ground. King Shenmu will not say anything. Everyone knows the power of the 8 tribulations realm. But there are still Night Grey on the left, White Eyes on the right, and the Great Monk. 2 top powerhouses in the 8 tribulations realm, plus a pinnacle of the 8 tribulations realm. Among the 7 calamities that the Lord of Sirius fell, the strongest was the peak of the 7 calamities. There are only more than 20 people, and half of them are casual cultivators. Originally it was full of morale, but when seeing the strong men behind Jian Wushuang, they shrank their necks, not daring to step forward. The Lord of Sirius was left alone at the forefront. Jian Wushuang frowned and stood up. Sirius, I heard you are looking for me. There were some doubts in the voice, and the great monk and the Shunmu king also saw that the person who came was not good, and immediately took a step forward, and his eyes were rounded. Whoever dares to stand in front of them now is dead. No one can stop it. Kai Jiuxiao is here, but it doesn't work. A little Sirius dared to make trouble. Sirius couldn't speak for a moment. Don't know what to do. Look left and look again. It seems to be looking for a life-saving straw. At this moment, a stream of light struck in the distance. It is the leader of the Gumu school Genmen God. Seeing that the Sirius lord of the General Door God seemed to have grasped the life-saving straw, he quickly pointed to the General Door God and said, "It is him, he let us in to find Jian Wushuang." Jiang Men's teeth tickled, but he didn't care about it anymore. Because Barbie Di also followed. Sirius, are you looking for death? The General Door flashed, and went directly to the side of Emperor Bobby. At this moment, the Lord of Sirius discovered that everyone else had a background. He is nothing. Emperor Bobby didn't even look straight. He just wanted to follow Dan Bao and enter Wanliu with him. Seeing someone stopping in front of me, I was too lazy to recruit and waved at will. There is no need for Kai Jiuxiao to fight. The Soul Heaven Emperor single-handedly killed him in an instant. Grasping the Lord of Sirius by the neck with one hand, he directly knocked Sirius back into the prototype. I thought it was a Sirius. It turned out that it was a dog who was pinched and couldn't bark. Let's go. Jian Wushuang shook his head and glanced at King Shunmu. Shunmu King's complexion was obviously a little uncomfortable. The head teacher of his Gumu school turned out to be an inner ghost. If there is nothing to do, you have to kill the other party. In fact, a 7 Tribulations realm is nothing at present. Can't control the battle. It's just a matter of face. Seeing Jian Wushuang and others continue to move towards the infinite world. Barbie Di also took the initiative to keep up. As for the scattered robberies in the secret realm, they have been scattered for repair. Just stand there in a daze. Barbie Di also knew that it was useless to have these 7 Tribulations realm. It is cumbersome to carry. This is the gap. Dan Bao didn't hesitate, so he took Lianxing and the others. The of life. All in all. Roman River. It took almost a quarter of an hour to arrive. But Jian Wushuang walked towards the Dragon God continent from here. It took hundreds of years. Struggled for a long time at the bottom of the Roman River, even shed blood. Fight all the way and fight. Back here now. I can't help but sigh from the bottom of my heart. Thinking of those people and things when I first came in. When I looked back, only Wu Li was left. Most of the rest have fallen. Li Sheng's kind of luck is still good, and now I am afraid that all of them are out of the infinite world. There is a teleportation array in the outer assembly grounds to go out. There is also the Empress Feng Chen. Although he can't enter Wanliu like them. But his life was saved. And the strength has been improved. It's the best ending. If you go further down, you will probably die. Chapter 5907. And these 2 people have slaughtered the Belunga tribe. It's enough to save face if you don't trouble them. I'll lead the way. Jian Wushuang took the initiative to dive, leading everyone directly into the familiar deep ditch. Seen from above is a deep groove. Standing below is a mountain range. Wow. Go retrograde in the turbulent water. Just an instant, I arrived at the original blessed land. What's different from the past is that today's blessed land has become an Colosseum. When they came here, there were barren beasts fighting. It's just that there is no familiar face from the beginning. Jian Wushuang when they left. The matter here spreads. King Tamu and several 5 Tribulations realm powerhouses fell here. This matter is also spreading evil. It is said that there are treasures in it. Attracted a lot of attention from the 5 Tribulations realm. Have entered here one after another. Indispensable is a fight. When they arrived, there was already a deep layer of bones here. Click. Trample at will. Jian Wushuang looked up and glanced around, and said calmly, Wu Li, it's up to you. Little things, I'll do it. Wu Li stepped forward, and the earth trembled. Those wild beasts still struggling here suddenly woke up. I also found Wu Li's breath. A breath of millions of supernatural powers. This breath directly frightened the many wild beasts in this place. It was the wood Dao Jian Qi on Wu Li's body that was too late to retreat, instantly cut into several pieces. This kind of thing must not wait for Dan Bao to do it. He is the one who wants to be the of life. Don't get your hands dirty. The people below must do it. Such as Wu Li. Jian Wushuang is not good either. Because he himself has mastered the power of life, he can't go on like that anymore. Wu Li is the most suitable. After cleaning up those trash fish, Jian Wushuang raised his hand to condense the breath, directly evaporating the river water in the surrounding area, and a powerful barrier blocked the drinking water from thousands of miles away. Dan Bao took the others, and then stepped in. This is the place. Looking at the withered bones ahead, Dan Bao's eyes were gleaming. Shenghui. The scepter points directly to the core of the blessed land. A green breath suddenly opened up. The ancient breath erupted from it. The whole Roman river was trembling. The opening of Wanliu is at this moment. The green light burst through the stone wall, and the place exuding the ancient atmosphere is the entrance. In front of everyone, the ground also began to crack. San Jie, as well as Jian Wushuang and Dan Bao, felt most clearly. In the cracks on the ground, the power of life exudes. This is what everyone is looking for. The source of life force. The real innate origin life universe. The entrance of Wanliu universe. It is also their ultimate goal. The road to God, the ladder of God. It's inside. Go. Dan Bao took the lead. Be the first to enter the crack. The others dared to hesitate, and immediately followed in. Jian Wushuang is after the break. After everyone had entered, he looked back at the outside world. In the distant sea, red light appeared. Emperor Bobby has already arrived with Kai Jiuxiao. Looking at the crack again, he was in a daze. This time it was so unreal. Valley from entering the ancient moon time and space, to now. It seems to be a reincarnation. Entering the ancient moon time and space, I heard about the holy meeting and Wanliu. Enter now. This span is very long, but also very fast. Finally, I went in. His figure flashed and followed. Go deep into the crack. Find the source of life. Where is a huge formation. The core of the formation is a tree root. The root of the tree is naturally the root of the willow sacred tree. From the bottom of the river to the formation. At least there are hundreds of millions of miles. Coupled with the depth of the Roman river. One can imagine how deep this place is. And the Wanliu divine realm is extremely far away from here. The roots of the sacred tree can spread to this point. When I look over the ancient wood continent, I can see any secret universe. Only one willow tree can be seen. This willow tree absorbs the origin of the entire ancient wood continent. It is also the origin of ancient wood continent. The reason why there is this continent is because of this willow tree. Enter the formation. After the people gathered, Dan Bao directly used the life force on the scepter to open the formation. At the moment when the formation was opened, Emperor Bobby also came here with people. Unfortunately, it was a little late. Did not catch up with the formation. But it is not inaccessible. Because of Dan Bao's hands-on, he was completely caught in the eyes of Barbie Di. Life force. He has no shortage of this. After the formation disappeared, another formation came again. Barbie Di also took people into the formation. Like Dan Bao, he used the power of life and also activated the formation. 90% of the strong on Gumu continent disappeared in an instant. This shocked the strong outsiders. Especially those who are close to Gumu continent. They are coming. Wanliu Shenmu. In other words, Wanliu universe. At the moment of entering the universe, everyone felt the warmth of life. This warmth envelops their bodies. It makes people extremely comfortable. It's like being wrapped in a warm current. If you look at it from another angle, they will be surprised to find that is really wrapped up. Both Dan Bao and Jian Wushuang mastered the power of life. Sober is the fastest. When he opened his eyes, he was also taken aback by the scene in front of him. Dozens of vines are connected to each other, like blood vessels, crossing together. And these people are wrapped in a white transparent film, and their bodies are also immersed in a green liquid. Jian Wushuang first checked his divine power and found that there was no problem before he breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, his supernatural power is still rising rapidly. This green liquid is not a simple life force. It's the power of life. Before he knew it, he actually increased tens of thousands of supernatural powers. If all these liquids are absorbed, I'm afraid it can increase by 100,000. Before waking up, it is passive absorption. After waking up, taking the initiative to absorb, the speed is much faster. Coupled with his swallowing power, it was just a stick of incense, and all the green liquid was absorbed. More powerful than he expected. After absorbing, his supernatural power increased from 1 million to 150,000. Why didn't you absorb it? When I turned around, I saw Dan Bao had broken the film and was carrying the bag of green liquid in one hand. Dan Bao gave a wry smile and explained, I don't seem to be able to absorb it, and am not a fighting type of Belungia, so these life divine powers are useless to me. That's a bit wasteful. He swallowed, indeed regretful. But his eyes were always staring at the green life divine power of the bag in Dan Bao's hand. Since the benefactor can absorb it, let's take it. Dan Bao used to be rather dull, but his brain is bright. How can he not know what Jian Wushuang means? Chapter 5908. Since it's useless to you, give it to someone who is useful. Jian Wushuang pushed back a bit, seeing Dan Bao being really polite. He was not polite. After receiving the bag of life divine power, it was absorbed in one fell swoop. The divine power exploded directly to an astonishing 1.2 million. Just entered the life universe of Wan Liu. Just gave them a step. He directly raised a full 200,000 divine power. Moreover, whether it is cultivating divine power or absorbing the treasures of divine power, the speed will be very fast here. Those strong men around you haven't awakened yet. It's okay anyway. He simply took out the remaining bones of Dongjun and began to absorb it with all his strength. With 1 million basic divine power, he added 200,000 divine power. And by the way, he absorbed the life divine power that Dan Bao didn't need, and only then increased so much. If it is a strong person with a base divine power of 2 million, it may only increase by less than 1,000. Like the Wood King and the Old Monk. These two 8 Tribulations realm peak powerhouses have more than 10 million divine powers, and the increased divine power is even less. But for Jian Wushuang and Wu Li, this is a good start. More than half of Dongjun's bones remained. Absorbed a full hour. If you are outside, it may take a day. Here, it saves 10 times the time. And his divine power also came to 1.5 million. The basic supernatural power is 150. In the super-eternally changed state, it is 3 million. It was already at the threshold of the 8 Tribulations realm. It's almost the same as Witch Soul Heaven Emperor. His realm was the lowest on the court. It's just the 6 Tribulations realm. But in terms of combat power, he definitely ranks in the top 5. The first is naturally the Old Monk, and then the Shenmu King. The rest are the 2 top powerhouses of the 8 Tribulations realm, Left Yehue and Right Eye White. That superpower is also over 8 million. The top of the 8 Tribulations realm. After that, it is the Master of Hungmu. Threshold of the 8 Tribulations realm. About 3 million supernatural powers. 5 million is the normal strength of the 8 Tribulations realm. At present, his current basic divine power has reached 1.5 million, and there is no pressure. If you have a treasure, you can force it to upgrade. The state of the 6 Tribulations realm might be able to raise the basic divine power to 2 million. Plus super eternal change. And the Origin Dojo. His combat power is probably comparable to the ordinary 8 Tribulations realm. That sword against Kai Jiu Xiao was enough to prove it. When it really breaks out, The instant increase in combat power is immeasurable. Of course, at that time, it was still because of freedom. This is still Weiss' reward, which reminds him of the great effort of freedom. When strong is strong, when weak is encountered. He had seen this number in Brolis' body a long time ago. As opponents continue to grow stronger, their own combat power will continue to soar. It seems that there is no end. It's terrifying. Feel free to work hard. Far stronger than he thought. It's just one thing that it's strong when it's strong. There is also the body style that ignores time and space in the free Ji Gong. Valley time and space cannot be constrained. This is the secret method of God. Only God can create it. Previously it was just fur, he had that kind of outbreak. If you get the upper half. That's not taking off yet. Others entered Wanliu to resurrect. He is different. That cat must be fattened up. Completed Weiss' explanation, and got the first half of the free effort. Going back to deal with extinction will be more certain. Ordinarily, now Fan Tianfeng is almost returning to Chishan Temple. I don't know what's going on. Click. Just now. The old monk completely absorbed the divine power of life and regained consciousness. Then King Shenmu also regained consciousness. King Shenmu was stunned for a moment, and then he noticed that his divine power had improved, and there was a trace of joy on his face. Like Jian Wushuang, he felt that he had made a good start. Is this the inside of Wanliu Shenmu? He looked up at the green vines that were still dancing. And the space around it. Somewhat in a trance, the old monk opened his mouth and explained at this moment, "This is indeed the universe of Wanliu Shenmu. Haven't you noticed that the flow of time here has become faster?" What? Jian Wushuang was taken aback first. Then a trace of origin entered his origin universe. Corresponds to the time flow rate. The eyes are messy. The division of time is very complicated. But there is one point for reference. That is the time and space of the master space and time and the time and space of one's own original universe. The time flow of the original universe is very fast, and the space is weaker than the main spacetime. The current velocity of Jian Wushuang's original universe is 10,000 times that of the outside world. Gravity is also 10,000 times. When the time of the original universe is cultivated to equal the flow rate of the main spacetime, it will be considered as complete time. But it's too far from that standard. At present, only on Tianqing Mountain, because of the existence of Weiss, the flow rate is the same as that of the outside world. Where the space is more stable. It is even more stable than the outside world. And the flow of time in Wanliu, under his test, turned out to be millions of times faster than the flow of time in his original universe. Plus 10,000 times the own universe. It is tens of billions of times that of the outside world. This is too far from the outside world. Even the universe of Wanliu Shenmu does not repair time and space. It shouldn't be so exaggerated. Don't be surprised. Wanliu's time flow is fast because of the serious passing of life. In this era, the outside world may be an era change. If you still have some memories of the outside world, you must hurry up and try to help our Lord become the person of life early. God. After the old monk finished speaking, he didn't forget to flatter Dan Bao. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang panicked a little. If you really want to be trapped here for an era, Chishan Temple will be over. Don't talk about an era. Even 10,000 years will not work. Dan Bao shook his head after listening, with a light in his eyes, and said, "Not all. I can feel a force of time and space, which separates Wanliu's universe by 2 layers, as if it corresponds to time and space are opposite, where the flow of time may be slow, but here is fast. It's my lord, I can feel it so far." The old monk raised his eyebrows at this time, and he became more excited as he said, "It's opened. There are many ethnic groups on that continent. Of course, there are also your human races and dragon races. I have been there before. It is similar to the ancient wood continent outside. There is nothing special. I have not stayed much. I have always been in God in the universe. The continent below is called the ancient world." Jian Wushuang's eyes changed drastically when he heard the word God. He rushed directly to the old monk and said in surprise, "You said God?" "That's right. It's the time and space we are in now. How do you know? The old monk was also surprised. The name God is just called it in the Wanliu universe, and people outside will never know it. Chapter 5909. Wow. The Lord of Hungmu also regained consciousness. After hearing God, he said indifferently, God is no better than Huanggu. It's all occupied by the guy called Qiandeng. It's better to be comfortable in Huanggu. You mean ancient Buddha of thousand lights? The old monk said with disdain, when I was there, he was just a shit. Jian Wushuang listened carefully, but his heart was extremely shocked. It is best to have the same name. If it is the same place as the God where extinction is. That's it. How can you see the shadow of extinction wherever you go? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. Although he didn't want to believe it, he couldn't help asking, Old predecessor, in this heaven, is there a strong man called extinction? Extinction. As soon as this remark came out, everyone was taken aback. The old monk's eyes flashed, and he shook his head and said, I haven't heard of it. I usually associate with some powerful people in the 8 tribulations realm. What is the strength of this extinction you said? Maybe I was wrong. I once knew a friend called Miesheng. He came from God. Jian Wushuang gave a wry smile and shook his head. But the doubts in my heart have not been lifted. He knows the true background of extinction, from the stars. And also brought Bobby Di. This is what Bobby Di said personally. But Emperor Bobby never said about God. And it was obvious that extinction had been to the 9th great space in the first place. Maybe I've been to Gumu continent. Even Wanlius universe. Moved God away from here. But now God is intact. Perhaps, the extinction from the outside world comes from the future. Everything is possible. If there is a super-existence. Master time and space alone. Not restricted by the supreme rule. It is possible to travel through the future. The extinction of the outside world is the future. And now God is what he used to be. The two are not related in time. But cause and effect are additive. Really interesting. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed. Take a look at Danbao. Perhaps Danbao is more suitable for extinction. Because it is the future of life. If it is destroyed, it is also to become a god. In other words, extinction is originally a god. Grim Reaper. This is the oldest position. Master Weiss, is there a place of death in the northern spacetime today? He couldn't help asking Weiss. Now Weiss wants to ask him. Asking a question shouldn't be a problem. At this time, Weiss is drinking leisurely on the biggest secret in his original universe, Qianqing Mountain. After hearing this question, he answered without any haste. Yes, simple and clear. Jian Wushuang's heart moved, and he became bolder, and asked, Master Weiss, is the name of this of death called Miesheng? I don't know, this little is not in my control. Little God. This left him speechless. The of death is a figure comparable to the of life. These are all little gods. Weiss pendulum is also big. Master Weiss, I have always had doubts about the existence of time and space, or the power of true gods. Can they travel through time and space? Weiss straightened up this time. He was boring at first, seeing Jian Wushuang's so many doubts, and his sincere expression. He also opened the chattering box. First, this is not a true god, that is called a god. Second, it is possible to travel through time and space, but it cannot change time and space. In the priesthood, there is also the existence of time and space. He regularly cleans up some of the time and space. Otherwise, ISNT this world messed up. Jian Wushuang was even more surprised this time. Unexpectedly, there will be unexpected receipts. At the same time, it also dispelled the previous plan to travel through time and space. This is a story. He now wants to figure out whether the here has anything to do with the Miesheng said. In his opinion, this is the most important. And it's probably related. Because here is the universe of life. Extinction and devouring him is for the power of reincarnation. The limit of the power of life is the of life. Then the limit of the power of samsara is the who masters samsara. This is obviously a better position than the of death. If so, then he has reason to suspect that Daisheng is the of death. When he traveled through time and space, what Maruor time and space met with him was not the extinction of the past, but the extinction of the universe. He deliberately left this layout in the heart demon, waiting for him to put it on. For this illusion. Let him think that the extinction had been laid out in the past. Actually not. This is simply a trap of extinction. Coupled with him, he is the most promising to become the of life. If death is the of death, when he becomes the of life, I am afraid that the other party will show up. Then swallow him. Evolve to become the of reincarnation. He didn't understand God in the past. Think that extinction is for the power of reincarnation. But later, with the increase in knowledge, he found that even if he mastered the power of reincarnation, he might not be able to surpass the 9 tribulations realm. Now it seems. His speculation is correct. Extinction traveled through time privately, ransacking the future God, and then moved to Maruor time and space. From when, start the layout. Dan Bao was the power of all things at first. This is the same as the original Lord of all things. The Lord of all things fell behind. Miesheng saw him through the future, and cooperated with Chishan. Then there was something in Chishan Temple. Now he has reached Wanliu Shenmu. Everything has gathered to the position of God. It is not him that Miesheng is staring at, but the of life. The purpose of looting the future God is to cultivate the Lord of all things in Moruo's time and space. God now. The high probability is where Dan Bao will be achieved. Perhaps this time he got rid of extinction. But Dan Bao couldn't run away. Just one more point. He can't figure it out. Why is the strength of extinction, so pull the hips? When it's strong, it's terrible. But looking back now, extinction may be the top 8 tribulations realm. Because Dongjun's strength is not too strong. It may be to hide strength. This is just his guess. It might also be just like what Weiss said, just a little god. Seeing Jian Wushuang's sad face, Weiss opened his mouth and said, "Don't think too much about it. It's not that easy to travel through time and space. If it's your own time and space, you can travel freely and no one cares. If you dare to travel through the main time and space, it's a big sin. If you can report a person, I still have a reward." Real? Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. Perhaps the appearance of Weiss has changed some of the future scenes. The position of the of life was originally his. But with the appearance of Weiss, it changed everything. In the end, the position of the of life became Dan Bao. Extinction is also exhausted. Of course. Weiss stood up, the scepter tapped the ground, and said in a low voice, "The gods, after all, come from mortals. It is normal for some insurgents and thieves to become stronger. They have more control, sometimes they do not. Any bottom line, once found, I will personally obliterate it." Chapter 59:10. With this sentence, Jian Wushuang was relieved. If it is really an extinction plan, Weiss is the biggest trump card. With Wes here, he is absolutely fine. If the death is not for the of death, then he will die even worse. With his current combat power, extinction may not be an opponent. In addition, there are big men like old monks and Shunmu kings. Give 10 courage to exterminate life, he dare not come. No matter what, he won't lose. Miesheng is really a of death, then he is finished. Weiss shot, he was relieved. If death is not a of death, it is even simpler. After the sense of threat was gone, he suddenly relaxed. By the way, he then inquired, "Master Weiss, the gods you mentioned are from mortals. Could it be that you are not a mortal?" "The gods come from mortals." He knows this. Dan Bao became the of life, and he was also promoted from a mortal. According to Weiss, is it possible that Weiss was born a god? You are right, I am born a god, and also a star in the starry sky. Weiss answered with a smile while covering his mouth. Jian Wushuang blinked, feeling confused. Celestial god, star god. God. He knew the true God, and he once thought he was the true God. Unfortunately, he later entered the primitive universe. It was discovered that there were still emperors. When the emperor arrives, there is a tribulation realm and there is a master of the universe. Now there are various gods. He is indeed a little dizzy. Simply leave it alone. As his strength grew stronger, the burden on him became smaller and smaller. Everything is so vulnerable to him at the moment. This is the benefit of being strong. Have confidence. Unlike the Emperor, facing the coercion of extinction, he couldn't move. Can't do it without taking a breath. It's different now. In the state of extinction at the time, he couldn't hold a sword in front of him. Even if he is a late player, he is confident now. This time it is over, if extinction has no contact with this place. He will set out to look for other people, or return to Chishan Temple alone to completely eradicate death. As for the 9 great time and space, slowly explore later. He still feels nostalgic for his hometown and the world. Although the people who are nostalgic for it are almost dead, but after returning home, there will be an inexplicable sense of security. Gumu continent is not his home. After all, there will be a sense of distance. Although in Gumu continent, I also met a few more reliable people. But there is still not the kindness of hometown. Or that kind of accumulation. For example, when he met Zhen Wuyang, he was the immortal. Or when you met Hua Qing, the other person was also a child. Just like Danbao. The same is entrusted for life. This kind of friendship is much stronger than that with Wu Li. Wu Li's kind of city residence is very deep, so the friendship is naturally shallow. Only this time, nothing went wrong. Otherwise, Wu Li must be killed. Fudged by the one of the Lord of Hungmu. He still remembered. Consciousness returns to the deity. At this time everyone awoke. The supernatural powers are slightly longer. The weak ones have obvious changes. For example, Wu Li. Now the divine power has reached 1.5 million. Valley. This is also thanks to his cheap father. Let his divine power grow so much. It is strange to say that a special being in the 8 tribulations realm, poking a black pill out of his body, is quite useful. Jian Wushuang could increase so much, but it all relied on Dongjun's bones. Afterwards, there was no treasure for him to swallow. He not only wants to improve his divine power. You also need to improve the source. It's just that I haven't had time to watch things about the chessboard. On the Guantian chessboard, there are still a lot of origins of the font size for him to devour. There are hundreds of sources. There are also handsome chess pieces. Each is comparable to the origin of the 8 tribulations realm. Origin. Suddenly, his inspiration flashed. If you put these origins into your own universe reincarnation, you might be able to refine a group of powerful servants. It's just reincarnation, and it needs more than the force of life. He can do it by refining a simple magic servant. But the reincarnation of the 8 tribulations realm, he couldn't condense. This method needs some time to improve. It's just that he doesn't have time to do it now. After going out, on the way back to Chishan Temple, he has a lot of time to study these. It is more important to explore Wanliu Shenmu first. Everyone, follow me. This place should be somewhere in Wanliu. This is a test of the god of life. It must have been left by Lord Realm. There are better things waiting for us. With a wave of his hand, the monk led everyone along the vine. This space was indeed left by the Realm King. It's just that the intention is not to let them absorb those life-divine powers. Some things are always different from what you think. Just like Jian Wushuang. When he entered Guu time and space, he would definitely not have thought that he would become the Lord of the Universe so quickly. Following the great monk, they soon came out of this space. Cut through a larger film and see the outside scene clearly. The god of Wanliu universe. The greenery is full of vitality. Everything is so wonderful. Let everyone's vitality beating, as if there are countless ants crawling and rolling on their hearts. At first, there was an uproarious and uncomfortable, and then that kind of hurriedly disappeared. Instead, there is a potential for life to stimulate. Everyone's eyes shook. Full of confidence. It feels completely cut off the lifelessness of the past. Everyone lives and lives. Inspired the second spring. The feeling here is better than the space just now. Cultivating here, Jian Wushuang felt that he could survive another catastrophe. Many people think so too. It feels really good here. It's not in vain, I think you can improve your strength by practicing here without the secret technique of resurrection. Shenmu Wang turned his head and glared at those people, and said coldly, "Okay, can you be a little prosperous? Where is this going?" "You say yes, old monk." The great monk's face sank and he coughed dryly. "It doesn't seem to be God." After saying this, everyone was just stunned for a while, and then they went on to talk about the specialness of this place. Did not take the great monk seriously. But the monk was a little anxious. He has never been here. He had never been to the last place. Just guessing. But I haven't been here before, so I can't keep pushing it to the Realm King. In fact, this is where the Realm King prepared. It's just that the great monk doesn't know. The great monk thought for a while, and felt that the matter was still a bit serious. He knew the direction of the ladder of God. The original plan was to take Dan Bao directly to the stairs of becoming a god. But now it seems that it really exceeded his expectations. If it is the Realm King who is making arrangements, then it will be troublesome for him. "Little Lord, this place has exceeded my expectations. It is better to be careful, let's go ahead." The great monk came to Dan Bao, his eyes calm. Chapter 59:11. Dan Bao said calmly, "It's okay, that's it. Everyone is not in nostalgia, keeping up with Dan Bao's pace." Then walked towards the new world. The green grass seems to want people to step on 2 feet. Along the way, they saw half a mess. Goodness covers everything. There is not even a barren beast. There are only beasts without consciousness. Flew for a full day. Comparing to the outside world may be the time of an epoch. But this world has not changed in any way. If this is the case, that's fine. It can only be said that they have not yet gone out. But when Jian Wushuang saw the elk that had seen him several times, his eyes went cold. He was sure that this elk was exactly the same as the one he met half a day ago. The structure of life is the same. Dan Bao also noticed something was wrong, and his figure stopped. "We are going in circles." Everyone was taken aback. One day is nothing to them. But Jian Wushuang always remembered the outside world, so he was very sensitive to the time of this place. Flew for such a long time. It is not a problem to cross Wanliu divine realm. Even the interior of Wanliu universe could be comparable to the entire Gumu continent. There shouldn't be any changes, and according to the old monk, he has never been here. Think of it as a secret place. Then they should have flown out long ago. The result is still not visible at a glance. Fortunately, many people were brought this time. There are any masters. Lianxing took the initiative to invite Ying and stood up. "Dear friends, let me try." As soon as the voice fell, Lianxing took out hundreds of small flags and tossed them everywhere. 16-star flag. 72 underground palace. Now. The formula was spoken, and a broken voice sounded around. When I went to look again, the flag was gone. Lianxing's eyes were shocked, and said in surprise, "This place is actually isolated from time and space. Jedi Tian Tong. Everyone understands this." Suddenly panicked. If this is the case, it would be cut off from everything. It's impossible to want to go out. Jian Wushuang, Wu Li, and even the Lord of Hungmu have encountered this kind of thing. It is the entrance when you first came in. There they also met Jedi Tiantong. That time it was because of the roots of Wanliu. This time, the comparison is the same. Jedi Tiantong. Not unbreakable. Don't be deserted, everyone, there is no threat here, we can explore slowly. The Lord of Hungmu stood up and presided over the situation. But just after speaking this sentence, a call from the ancients shocked them. Ouch! It was a shout that went straight into the sky. Definitely the most powerful alien beast. King Shenmu glared at the Lord of Hungmu, and said angrily, "You crow's mouth, you know you can't rely on you." He cursed along with the old monk. 2 people who had already entered Wanliu Shenmu led the way. As a result, he did not recognize the way. "I'm stuck now and don't say anything. There is also a threat approaching." After the howl, the earth began to tremble. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath. He knew it was not that simple. In the distant sky, a green boundary monument fell from the sky and hit the ground fiercely. The wailing also fell. Everyone was stunned when they looked at the boundary monument. Should it be smashed to death? I hope it's the same as I said. Jian Wushuang turned his head and leaked a smile at the Seven Tribulations realm powerhouse just now, and rushed towards the boundary monument in a flash. Everyone was not surprised, because after Jian Wushuang's figure rushed out, there was no change in his figure on the spot. It just rushed out to a Dharmakaya. This is too simple for Jian Wushuang, who has infinite life force. He is also willing to take this risk, really threatening to exist. Then it's time for those people behind to be busy. He can't fight, run away first. Adventure is also number one. The law body rushed out instantly and arrived in front of the huge stone stele. There is this green pattern on the top. And the traces left by some plants. Very old. The figure dropped, and he wanted to see if a barren beast had been smashed to death underneath. It turned out that there was nothing. Maybe I scared myself just now. After a careful inspection, there was nothing special and no clues. There is no danger. This is currently the case. Come here. He waved. Everyone dared to approach. Look around the stele 3 times to the left and 3 to the right. Just can't understand. This stone tablet seems to be nothing special. Don't be too arbitrary. Since it appeared in front of us, it must be directed at us. Since it doesn't move, then we won't move. You are really smart, Lian Xing said grimly. A living person has to consume dead objects. This is not cost-effective. Fellow Taoists, I don't want to take the initiative and let this fellow Danbao Daoist try. Agree. There is no way. You can only look at Dan Bao's. He is the protagonist. Jian Wushuang had to go back a little bit. Take the initiative to give up your position and reminded in a low voice, don't worry, there are no hallways inside the stele. You have checked all the ones just now, so you can use your life origin to explore it. Dan Bao nodded, and you read www.ukanshu.com stepped forward and touched the stele with the scepter. This is the result, and there is still time to explore in the future. The stone stele cited trembling. In Shangfen, a kind of obscure characters appeared. Jian Wushuang frowned and looked up at the sky falling down. He knew this character. But the character doesn't recognize him. This is the language of the Palunga people. He has seen some of the same characters, but he doesn't understand the specific meaning. Among those present, only Blue and Dan Bao knew each other. Brew glanced roughly, with surprise in his eyes. Brother Brew, how about it? What did the above say? To be on the safe side, he didn't directly say that it was Palunga's language, but asked Brew in private. The above content actually allows me to collect a plant-like treasure. Bula's answer made Jian Wushuang a sigh of relief. Collecting treasures is the easiest thing. As long as it's not the kind of perverted fighting. Otherwise, it will be desperate and escape. How tired. After Dan Bao finished reading it, after pondering for a while, he said about it. Collect Hericium erinaceus. No one will be able to leave here at least 3. That's it. Quite a few people had surprised eyes. There is nothing else but these. There is no reward, just for Hericium. After collecting, put in the stone tablet. It seems simple and straightforward. But there is one thing that Jian Wushuang and Dan Bao have noticed. This is indeed a test. Originally thought that according to what the old monk said, he entered among the willows, and he led the way to the stairs of God. It's fine now, the ladder is not found. I don't know whose pit I entered. They are all beginning to be tested. Chapter 59:12. Dan Bao explained to everyone about the appearance of the Hericium and the general breath. Only 3 are needed. It doesn't matter if you have more. Jian Wushuang was a little puzzled. It was really that simple. Why both Dan Bao and Bulu are so surprised. Look at their expressions. It seemed unusual. He even used the most stupid method to count the characters above, and then count the number of words the two said. They couldn't match it. Bulu also noticed his surprise, so he took the initiative to transmit his voice. Benefactor, there is one last sentence on this stone tablet. Dan Bao didn't say it. The more Harisham I collect, the more rewards he will get. Treasures are a kind of life fruit that can increase vitality. Thank you. Jian Wushuang sighed secretly. This is good for others, but nothing to him. He doesn't seem to need the fruit of life to increase vitality. In fact, it's nothing to say. Once Dan Bao becomes a god, he will be able to obtain the secret technique of resurrection. Life is useless. When the time comes, the outsiders will not stare at him anymore. But then Dan Bao's voice transmission made him stunned. After Baloo finished speaking, Dan Bao also explained the whole story. The vitality contained in the fruits of life obtained here can become eternal vitality. It's precious. This kind of vitality can even revive the source. Of course, you need to have the source of the original source to be able to recover the original source. 3 Harisha Midodes can exchange for a fruit of life. 30 are 10 fruits of life. After hearing this, Jian Wushuang was completely shocked. Resuscitate the source. Resurrect the strong. There are so many super origins in the middle of his Guantian chessboard. If it recovers one by one, it will be a large number of strong people. Thinking of this, his interest came. For others, this is a fair competition. Anyway, 3 Harisham mushrooms are enough. So they are not very positive. Just so procrastinate to collect. Dan Bao and Bulu didn't even need to take action. The old monk and Shenmu King helped them both solve it. This kind of fruit is just a special treasure for others. It's even more useless for those who don't have the origin of the Empress. Of course it can be sold as a mixed stone. Dan Bao has the origin of life. It is not necessary. After becoming a god, what do you want? The current fruit of life is a sesame seed. But for Jian Wushuang, this is a priceless treasure. When the body shape flew out of a stick of incense, I could no longer feel the breath of those people, and could only sense it according to cause and effect. He also felt relieved. Thousands of people in an instant. Run around. Look for Harisham. The deity is incarnate. The clone turned into thousands. Divide 100, 10, one more. It means searching for more than 10,000 Dharmakayas at the same time. In order to ensure sufficient thought power, he did not divide anymore. More than 10,000 clones. One can be found within 2 hours. This place is so big. I dare not say 10,000, but there is still hope for 1,000 Harisham. Doppelganger went to search for the Harisham Erinaceus, while the deity was looking at the origin of the chess pieces on the Guantian chessboard. Under Tianqing Mountain. Guantian is on the chessboard. His figure appeared on the chessboard. Among the magnificent pieces, the has disappeared. He was swallowed up. Those who had recovered at the beginning were very poor in strength, and were killed by the extinction. He also swallowed a lot of the font size. More losses. There are not many left now. These have no follow-up effect. But handsome fonts can be of great use. And that's all. He has to choose carefully. The weakest point of Jiang's name is the 5 tribulations realm level. The strongest is around the 7 tribulations realm. The weakest of the handsome font is the peak of the 7 tribulations realm. The strongest is reaching the peak of the 8 tribulations realm. As for the 3 chess pieces of God's font, he can't see through at present. In the chess pieces of the 3 gods, the origin contained is almost comparable to that of time and space. But the distance from the origin of time and space in the Guantian chessboard is still a bit short. What did the teacher leave me for this chessboard? Jian Wushuang's deity fell into deep thought. The Guantian chessboard has many functions. For example, Jiang Jiao. But Jiang Jiao is useless now. Because it has mastered the super-eternal change. He needs more powerful treasures in the follow-up. But the Guantian chessboard, he still can't fully grasp it. This chessboard does not seem to be a treasure. It's a decoration. Are these chess pieces a test for me? If this is the case, it can still make sense. His own origin, turned into a chess piece, fell on the chessboard. Play against many chess pieces. This can be regarded as the first true king's usage. But it's not for him. Watch the sky. Checkerboard. Literally, make a chessboard with the sky. The inner meaning is still related to the origin. He is now recovering the chess piece, and he doesn't know that it is as different as the teacher's original decision. At this time, he couldn't think of any good effects. It seems to be this way. Complex origin. Jian Wushuang shook his head, but there was a flash of light in his mind. The origin is complicated. The origin of the chess pieces is different for each one. This is like life and death. The two seem to be unable to merge. But there is also a reason for integration. And after fusion, it will become more powerful. This may be an opportunity. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed. Grab 2 chess pieces of the same size. Reading www.ukanshu.com. Both are the origin of the peak of the 6 tribulations realm. 2 chess pieces turn into 2 origins. Wood, soil. The 2 sources of mutual improvement. With soil, wood will flourish. With the origin of soil, the origin of wood will flourish. This is a truth. The 2 origins are not in the opposite direction, but are combined smoothly. After the combination, the strength of the source is increased by a notch. Reluctantly reached the threshold of the 7 tribulations realm. Perhaps, one by one recovery is not the maximization of benefits. If these sources are brought together, not only will I be more familiar with the source, but it will also be able to create a more powerful source to simulate future practice. Maybe this is the teacher's original intention. Jian Wushuang surprised teacher Xian Yi's long-term gaze. Of these origins, swallowing is the most stupid way. And it can only absorb and compare, but 2 or 3 layers. But if it is so integrated, it can immediately comprehend a kind of original usage. This simulation is like a practice. The help to him is the greatest. Moreover, the original chess pieces after fusion will be stronger after recovery. His eyes flickered. Start to classify these original chess pieces. Then merge. The first is the chess piece of the font size. Dozens of chess pieces of general size are mixed. For the origin of everything. As long as he condensed a source of all things at the pinnacle level of the 7 tribulations realm, it would be considered a success. It's a pity that he swallowed so many chess pieces at the beginning, and now it's a waste to think about it. Otherwise, the most perfect origin of everything can be condensed. Then with the tolerance of all things, it is the fastest to integrate the handsome pieces of chess. Chapter 59:13. It's also to blame that the original pattern was too small. No way, at that time, I was thinking of raising my strength to the top. Now that I sink my heart, I realize that the best way is always the one pointed out by the teacher. Fortunately, his life force can also be used to transform all things. He could condense the origin of everything in front of him. Then the restoration becomes complete immediately. The missing rules can be added by yourself. With his current strength and realm, have mastered the universe. It can all be said to be of the creation level. Make rules and create everything. The chess pieces of the size of the font, eventually the source goes to all things. The handsome chess pieces correspond to the ultimate of all things. Life is only one. This is what I saw in the Palace of Life. But it affects a lifetime. He already has the power of life. The power of death can be obtained by slaughtering life. He didn't think about reincarnation. The original space of oneself has been completed, now it is time to practice. The future time and space can be regarded as having a framework. Reincarnation in time and space, if in accordance with Weiss said. Both life and death are small gods. Then reincarnation is considered a second-level god. The third level is time and space reincarnation. What about the time and space cycle? Maybe I think too much. He shook his head. Extinction wants to devour the power of life, just for reincarnation. It is laying out the future. So grand. He is now the master of the universe in the 6 tribulations realm. Even the cycle of time and space has not been looked down upon. It's a bit arrogant. In fact, the road can be walked one by one. But before you reach the end, be prepared to turn in that direction. Plan ahead. He has done this kind of thing in the past. It's all up to you. Now there is the great Weiss. I should also ask for advice. The clone is looking for Harisham, His origin is to enter the manor of Weiss leisurely. The manor, which occupies a huge area, covers 1/10 of Tianqing Mountain. The facilities have not been properly organized. Weiss was having a great time playing. The spring of the spiritual spring that was fetched was turned into a well. The spring column became the fountain in the center of the manor. It is also extremely luxurious. He looked a little envious. This is also his original universe, but his master hasn't arranged anything. There is only one dilapidated wind-riding pavilion, which is much worse than that of Weiss Manor. Although he can be transformed directly, there is no spirituality in that way. Some pyrotechnic gas is lacking. He walked towards a lake where Wes often stayed, and saw Wes shaking the cat there. The purple-skinned cat is pitiful and thin. The first life in the universe was turned into a cat by Weiss. Jian Wushuang was also a little dumbfounded. Valley Master Weiss. When he came to the lake, he was not polite. He found a place and sat down. After saying hello, he watched where Weiss was teasing the cat. Not in a hurry at all. The cat appeared in his universe, but he couldn't feel the breath of the cat. It's really strange. You didn't enter the Wanliu universe, why do you still have time to come here? Weiss said casually while teasing the cat, let's talk about anything. I am in a good mood now, and maybe I will tell you something very mysterious. Thing. This cat. Jian Wushuang did not go straight to the subject, but asked about the cat. He really didn't understand why Weiss had to make the first life in his original universe a cat. He is not a cat, he is the of destruction in the future. Wes picked up the purple skinny cat, put it in his hand, and then said, you have to pay attention to your own words, he is very vengeful. God of destruction? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise, what kind of is that? God of destruction. He had heard of it for the first time. A cat becomes a god. It's not reliable how to listen. Even if Wes has the means to change the supreme rule, he can't make a cat into a at will. Now I told you that you don't understand, but there is one thing I can tell you. The person who destroyed God would be you, but I see your performance is getting worse and worse, and... The last sentence reached his lips, and Wes swallowed it back and said calmly, I can only say that you will have a better position. Could it be that I will really become a in the future? For a while, he forgot his purpose when he came, and he was very curious about his future. This is also inevitable. Everyone is curious about their future. Otherwise, how could there be so many fortune tellers in the ordinary? Speaking of which, Huiking's Zen machine can predict the future. He is the darling of time and the best practitioner of time and space. If there is a chance in the future, Huiqing has to make calculations for him. Don't think about this, let's talk about your business. Weiss knew he was coming, so he didn't say much. This time Jian Wushuang went straight to the subject and expressed his entanglement. After hearing this, Weiss covered his mouth and smiled. You don't think much, you should actually think about the starry sky above your own universe, so that your thoughts will be even bigger. Really? He suddenly became excited. I knew that I must be the chosen one, how could it be bad? But then, Wes poured a basin of cold water down. You really dare to think that there are indeed hierarchical divisions between gods, but this kind of division is fixed. If you want to become a stronger god, you need to improve as much as possible when you are mundane, and there is a pit for a carrot. The position you selected may not be empty, or don't be too greedy. After speaking, Weiss shook his head and said an example he saw. It is the creator of this ancient moon time and space. Which goddess? She used to walk a long way. The pattern is huge. But in the end it failed. Looking at the entire GUU time and space, Jian Wushuang could find that there were many strange things. For example, the Wanliu Shunmu of Gumu continent. This is obviously a level of existence with the goddess. The goddess was able to leave this willow tree. There is also the secret realm of Wu Hua. The things that exist there are also very special. It is a force of nothingness. Obviously similar to Wanliu's side. These powers are all within reach of the goddess. If it is blessing in one fell swoop, how can the power of mastery be average? One level higher than reincarnation. At the beginning, this goddess had a lot of power, and the ultimate goal to break through is virtual life, which is to copy another virtual starry sky with the starry sky as the center. Jian Wushuang's eyes rounded when he heard it. This is a lot higher than what time and space reincarnation he is considering now. If it is to create a starry sky by yourself, he has the courage. But confidence is hard to say. But the goddess dared to replicate the same starry sky in the original starry sky. Chapter 59:14. This is a bit exaggerated. To put it bluntly, it means picking peaches. If there is a master in this starry sky, would he forgive her? No wonder it will fall. Since you have a lot of courage, you want to fight, go the way of the goddess, I will collect the corpse for you at that time. Jian Wushuang shook his head solemnly, and said firmly, I don't want to go the way of others, I just want to go my own way. I didn't expect that the pattern of the goddess would be so big, and it would be a pity to fall. How can it be so easy to copy the starry sky and have the same two people and two similar flowers? Weiss shook his head slightly. There was still some regret in his eyes. The two flowers he is talking about here are actually two worlds. One flower, one world. People represent even more. This made him think of Jiang Shong again. Tianve and Jiang Shong are inextricably linked. This is a scourge to him. It's a pity to die. Otherwise, he will die in the opponent's hands sooner or later. The ladder of becoming in Wanliu now. As well as the origin of life force, Dan Bao has mastered it. It also means that the goddess is over, and there is no possibility of turning over. This example gave him a severe blow. In the past, he himself didn't believe in breaking the 10,000 laws with one force and stepping on the words of the gods. Now that I have finished listening, I don't believe it anymore. His pressure is actually not that much. In fact, it's good to be the master of time and space. He could endure time and space without traveling to the future. In terms of the current North time and space, the three eternal existences at this level are equally invincible. God can't control it. Unless it's your own death, just like a goddess. As long as you don't die, you won't die. The one before him died. Kill the life and it's over. There is no pressure. Later, I found teacher Xuani, and the master and disciple recognized each other. Perfect. It's just that the teacher has been investing in him, and there must be something that needs his help. He didn't want to disappoint. I don't want to regret it again at that time. That's why I give myself those pressures. Looking back, it seems. He still thinks more. The origin on your chessboard is enough for you to die. Anyway, it is not you who die in the end. As for your own origin, don't make too many adjustments. You are far from reaching the limit under the rules. After the 9 tribulations realm, it's not too late to make plans. Weiss finally reminded him. Use the Guantian chessboard to simulate the original force that you need to merge in the future. At least one chance of failure. Jian Wushuang gave a respectful bow. Then turned his head and left. Back down the mountain. Thinking about his future. First of all, it is time and space reincarnation. He first merged the origin of the chess pieces on the Guantian chessboard into a time and space cycle. Go ahead and make other plans. This is very difficult for him. The rest is just like Weiss said, and I'll talk about it later. Now is not the time for him to think about it. Can't follow in the footsteps of the goddess. The temperament of the font size is merged into the origin of all things, forming the power of all things. Later it will be transformed into the force of life. From everything to life. It needs to be integrated into one source. The chess pieces that happen to be handsome in size have their origins. This is a bit of a coincidence. Jian Wushuang's mind sank, and he immediately woke up, and his heart shook. Could it be that it was the instruction of teacher Xianyi? I am afraid that Weiss knew teacher Xianyi, but he just didn't admit it. He can guess like that. It can also be treated as if nothing happened. Even Wes has to conceal, and use obscure things to order him. Perhaps it is for greater hiding. He was a little relaxed, but he instantly felt a surge of pressure. Still have to fight hard. How else can I meet the teacher? He didn't want the day when his master and disciple met each other. It would be a world-destroying scene. A little bit of time passed. In a blink of an eye, he has been here for a month. There are indeed a lot of Harisham. He found thousands of Dharma bodies. On the side of the deity, a new source of life has been integrated on the chessboard. Click. The moment the chess piece of life fell into the Guantian chessboard, it instantly turned into a green armor. On the chest of the battle armor, there is a circle on which the letter G is written robbery. Replaced the original general armor. I thought there would be a handsome and godly armor in the follow-up. Unexpectedly, Jeju appeared. He couldn't wait to summon Jeju, and instantly his upper body, an increased vitality force burst out. Let his vitality increase 100 times. Not only. After putting on Jeju, his divine power has also increased by a full 500,000. Directly reached 2 million. The increase is not the basic divine power. But he discovered that after wearing Jer armor, he can also perform super-eternal changes. In other words, the super-eternal change he is currently performing can soar to 4 million in supernatural power. It is already a conventional 8 tribulation realm combat power. This made him more interested in merging the origins of chess pieces. Now it is the Jeju dominated by the life force. If there is another force of death condensed, the two merge to become the power of reincarnation. The increase is the stronger power of reincarnation. This is the third sword of his star catalogue, which will have greater blessings. Divine power blessing is only basic. The most important thing is the blessing of the source. This is more important to him. The role of Guantian chessboard was finally explored by him. It's a pity that he doesn't know much about the power of death, otherwise his sword of reincarnation would not pull his hips so much, and would never be able to display its true power. It also needs him to find a breakthrough from extinction. In a blink of an eye, Daisheng was originally staring at him, but now he is staring at Daisheng. Take your time. Now he is not in a hurry. The Dharmakaya returned and gathered to the deity. Dan Bao had already notified him, and everyone had collected Harisham. He was left alone. 6,000. Can be exchanged for 2,000 fruits of life. It's just that now his needs for the fruits of life are not so obvious. Because he can't recover the pawns so early. Those chess pieces need to help him simulate his original endpoint. If he succeeds, he will recover, and everyone is happy. If it fails, that's it. He also needs to find other ways out. Of course, failing this kind of thing is thankless. He will definitely control the loss. Seeing that the situation is not right, he will stop, disrupt the order of the origin, and then recover. It's not a waste. He always felt that the 3 chess pieces with the size of God would be the origin of God. I don't know if the guess is right. If it is real, then he has to be more careful. If you lose one, you have to feel distressed. Step forward, shuttle. Soon, he came to the stele. We said hello to Dan Bao and the others, and stepped forward to hand over the ditch-head mushroom. I saw a lot of people with a lonely look on their faces. He knew that these people probably already knew that there were rewards. Chapter 59:15. In fact, fortunately, there is no fruit of life, and it will not affect the road to resurrection in the future. It's just a bit slower. In order not to make these people jealous or resent Dan Bao, he deliberately threw a mustard seed toward the stele. Although these people had suspected that he had been out for so long, they must have searched a lot of Harisham. But no one dared to stand up and say anything. All these people present could tell that Dan Bao and Bulu both believed in Jian Wushuang more. It's more reliable than any guardian. They don't dare to take Jian Wushuang. After entering the stele, he got the fruit of life. It also means that the task is complete. After obtaining the Harisham Erinaceus, it cannot be exchanged for the fruit of life. Wow! He is the last person. As he finished, the stele began to tremble and let out a hum. Everyone was shocked. With the stele as the center, the radius changed suddenly. In the next moment, everyone travels through time and space. Left here. After they left, another group of people came here. It is Barbie Di and others. It was one step behind Jian Wushuang and others. When Jian Wushuang and others appeared again, they had already reached a quiet mountain forest. Looking up, the faint light beam descended, and the upper part was blocked by some giant trees. Great monk, do you know this place? King Shenmu jumped and stood on the leaves of the top of the giant tree, scanning the surrounding situation. He was not familiar with the place at all, so he naturally looked at the super strong man who came out of the willow. Shenmu. Old monk, I don't know, we should have entered a special secret realm. It must have been arranged by Lord Realm King. As long as we follow the instructions, we are right. The monk shook his head and explained. The Lord of Hungmu didn't buy it, and mocked. Then you have to give us a reminder, you can't stay the same as last time, just wander around. Why don't we go and take a look on the mountain ahead? Dan Bao said at the moment, and the others were not talking. In fact, there are so many ways. Since there is a mountain ahead, go up and take a look. It's better than arguing here. For the sake of safety, Dan Bao used the shield of life to cover everyone and move forward carefully. Although I haven't encountered any danger, I can't be careless. In the previous space, they heard a howl. Although they could not feel the specific breath, the divine power contained in that howl was extremely terrifying. It's definitely the 8 tribulations realm level. This place is Wanlius universe, and it is normal for any level of powerhouse to appear. They still have to be careful. Jian Wushuang's thought power has been patrolling the surroundings. No abnormalities have been found. I feel that the structure of this place is deeper than that of the space just now. The power here is also extremely special. These giant trees are proof. The divine power contained in each of them has exceeded 1,000 times. At its peak, there is 1,000 supernatural powers. The life structure of the race is much higher than that of the human race. Don't look at them now that their supernatural powers are all starting with 1,000,000. But if it goes on average, certainly not as good as these giant trees. The universe, the origin of life, and the vegetation that it bred are so powerful. If it is material life, it will definitely be stronger. The mundane and mundane of the human race have less than 1 divine power. Only after embarking on the practice will you slowly accumulate divine power. They are all the pinnacles of the human race, and naturally look very powerful. In fact, the true origin is not as good as these plants and plants. Of course, except for those special beings at the cosmic level. Jian Wushuang is actually a special life. It's just that he is special, incomparable to the special beings of the universe. Just like Kai Shui back then, the opponent was born with 10,000 divine powers. How to compare? He is an acquired special life. If calculated according to him, everyone is an acquired special life as long as their divine power exceeds 1,000 times. Let's talk about these special lives now. The Flame of Shiguo. Top of the 8 tribulations realm. It's on the same level as Zhuo Yehue. Divine power started with a few million, and when he was born, it might have exceeded 100,000. There is also the Lord of Hungmu, and the Great Monk. The basic divine power is terrible. The pinnacle race group bred by the entire Wanliu universe, as well as the pinnacle powerhouse, must surpass the entire Gumu continent. There are few in the 9 heavens and 10 places that can be compared. The Great Monk and the 2 war beasts that only appeared. It's enough for Gumu continent to drink a pot. I really want to run out all. The 8 star sects of the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China could be suppressed if they were all out. Although there are threats, there are also opportunities. If you can go in and out at will, then the life here will face the strong in the entire GUU time and space. In such a comparison, GUU time and space was stronger. After all, which goddess created it? 9 heavens and 10s. The waves are magnificent, trying to replicate the existence of the starry sky. How could it be bad? Leaving the jungle that shades the sky, they arrived at the bottom of the Low-Foot Mountain. The peaks are not steep, and the side peaks do not enter the clouds. Can't see anything special. But when they stepped down the mountain, they felt the power of their bodies beating. There is a feeling that I really want to practice in retreat. Everyone is eager to try. Want to set foot on this Low-Foot Mountain. Jian Wushuang is no exception. Although he majored in origin. But the divine power has not fallen, and it is almost the same as the original source. The whole body's one. 5 million supernatural powers are all active. The beast soldiers even aroused the local resonance. A long Ming sound erupted from all around him, shaking waves of ripples. Jian Wushuang frowned, and the beast soldier trembled, suppressed by a stronger innate beast god. Innate treasures of the universe, although rare. But here gathered the strongest group of existences in ancient wood continent. Many of them are also treasures of the innate universe. For example, the Moyunteng of the Shunmu king, and Wu Li. He also has the treasure of the innate universe. It's the wooden sword. It was the Lord of Hungmu who gave it to him. Now I feel the same resonance, followed by a strong coercion. Brother Wushuang, did you find it too? Wu Li cautiously leaned over at this time and whispered, there will be no horror on this mountain, right? My wooden sword is a branch of Wanliu, and it is also congenital. Treasure of the universe, I have never encountered such a thing before. Jian Wushuang shook his head and replied vaguely, I don't know, but since it can be related to Xiantian, then this mountain must have a great treasure, and it will be clear when I go up and take a look. This Lowfoot mountain. Not only does it give them the impulse to retreat, but it can also resonate with the treasure of the innate universe. Has aroused their curiosity. It makes no sense not to go in and take a look. What a treasure. Then it's up to you. It also depends on luck. Whoever gets it belongs to him. As long as it is not too outrageous, it can be kept. With Danbao, they also made their own vows. No one will turn his face. Chapter 59:16. Everyone has equal chances of encountering treasures, but they have different strengths. There is still a big difference. So no one will let anyone else. After feeling the call, everyone looked at Dan Bao. Now they just need a word to rush in. Jian Wushuang was not so eager. After feeling the strength of the surroundings, he nodded at Dan Bao when he found that there was no danger. Indicates that there should be no danger here. It's better to take a look. There is no way anyway, and I have to go sooner or later. Simply let these people take the initiative to find the way. Of course, how can such a thing be said? They must take the initiative. Otherwise, it will defile the of life. Dan Bao was helpless, he was just a child, and he was taken into this position. Can only nod. But before these people went up the mountain, they gave everyone a lot of vitality. This has moved many people. Jian Wushuang was also very surprised and did this step. He really admired it, and it was impossible for him to do this. Maybe this is the gap. Go. Shunmu took the lead and charged. He has Mo Yun Teng, which is equivalent to an additional 8 Tribulations realm combat power. It's just that Mo Yun Teng's combat power is not as good as his deity. There are at most 8 Tribulation realm peaks. But this is enough to explore. Mo Yun Teng extended to explore the road. By the way, look for treasures and the direction of that summoning. Jian Wushuang didn't hesitate, and followed his forehead. The same goes for the others. Only the great monk and the Lord of Hungmu brought the 2 war beasts, and followed Dan Bao behind the last hall. Shunmu King and Jian Wushuang, as well as a large number of 7 Tribulation Realm powerhouses, were separated from Dan Bao's life shield. Even Wu Li rushed to the front. Side by side with Jian Wushuang. Brother Wushuang, that feeling is very strange. Why don't we join hands? My 3-foot sword has been leading me. How about the treasures we get? Jian Wushuang smiled at the corner of his mouth, but he had a guess in his heart. Although his beast soldier was summoned, the feeling was not what Wu Li said. Able to guide? That's so much resonance. Okay, wait for a chance to escape from the Shunmu King and the others, but you have to tell which of your fathers to let them pay attention to us, and come to rescue if there is danger. Cooperating with Wu Li, how could he suffer? What is Wu Li's identity and strength now? The divine power is also the top of the 7 Tribulations realm. In danger, he still has to carry it. Fortunately, there is a backer, which Cheap Daddy, but in the presence, the strongest existence. Able to crush Shenmu Wang. Even if there is something horrible hidden here, the 2 of them will be able to save them if they encounter them unfortunately. This transaction is worth doing. It's all here, So what if you don't try to fight it? Moreover, Weiss had previously explained that he wanted to find some treasures. Maybe you can find it here. In the crevice of the mountain on the west side. Wu Li suddenly transmitted sound. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate, his figure disappeared out of thin air after a meal. He even took Wu Li and left the team directly. Entered into a crevice in a mountain. The Shunmu king at the front was stunned for a moment, and wanted to chase after him. Jian Wushuang was special, he knew it. Maybe you will discover something in advance. Moreover, the treasure of the innate universe on Jian Wushuang's body was a bit greedy. Uncertainty will cause the call to find the exact location. But then I thought about it, I was a peak powerhouse of the 8 Tribulations realm, and went to follow the 2-6 Tribulations realm, and he couldn't hold back his face. And it's still a bit far from the top of the mountain. It's better to go to the top of the mountain first. Dan Bao and the great monk could be followed behind. Can't waste time. After weighing the pros and cons, King Shunmu gritted his teeth and manipulated Mo Yun-ting to continue climbing towards the top of the mountain. Along the way, it is not that he did not receive the goods. He has all the treasures that have grown in the crevices of the mountain for an unknown number of times. Just a single herbal medicine, it is $1 million mixed stone, this money is too comfortable. It's the same as the one picked up. He is no longer the Lord of the universe, but it does not mean that there will be no universe after his resurrection. Either the Hunyuan stone or these herbs can enhance his divine power. The others did the same, all got some treasures that the Shunmu king looked down upon. Hunyuan stone with a value of around 100,000 yuan. This is already very good for them. You can pick it up at your fingertips without having to fight and kill. It's a star refiner and has no interest in herbal medicine. He collected a lot of expensive gemstones, and even after he didn't grab them, he bought those gemstones on the spot. Many people also sold it on the spot. In general, the various receipts are quite good. Dan Bao, who was in the back, didn't care. Dan Bao is almost becoming the of life, so naturally he is not interested in treasures. The same is true for Bulu, who is of the same clan as Dan Bao. Will he have fewer treasures in the future? As for the status of the great monk, the protector, but to protect Dan Bao, he would naturally not leave Dan Bao for half a step. And he is a special being, the pinnacle of the 8 Tribulations realm. There is no shortage of these treasures. In the end, the Lord of Hungmu is left. He seemed to have suffered heavy losses this time, and took the initiative to give away his treasure. But there are also large receipts. 2 big beasts. All enslaved by him. Each is the top combat power of the 8 Tribulations realm. How could he admire those treasures? There are treasures, and they have to be used after he resurrects. At present it is not good enough. The great monk also received Wu Li's voice transmission at this time, frowned, and did not say anything, but felt that Wu Li and Jian Wushuang were mixed together, which was very bad. A trace of thought power followed Jian Wushuang and Wu Li into the crack. The gap at the main point of Aegean is actually not a big one, but deep enough. The key is to go down to the ground. It will be able to enter the true core of Aegean. Jian Wushuang took Wu Li into the ground. It was dark all around. The cracks opened from halfway up the mountain, but there were no cracks on the top, and there was pitch black all around. After entering the crack, turning around, you have long lost sight of the light at the entrance. Isn't there yet? After Jian Wushuang went deep for a while, he felt a palpitation and a bad feeling after he felt the bottom. So he slowed down and wanted to ask Wu Li how. Wu Li directly took out his 3-foot sword at this time. He didn't know until not long ago that the raw material of this 3-foot sword came from the sacred wood of Wanliu. So it is also an innate treasure of the universe. The whole body is green, 3 feet long, but it is enough to cut the sky and the ground. Still down. Are you sure? How come I feel that the more I get down, the more desperate my heart is, and there is always an inexplicable pressure. He expressed his anxiety, and if he went deeper, he felt his heart jumped out. The feeling that made him want to practice again is gone here. Instead, it scared him. After Wu Li heard what he said, his eyes were surprised, and he was taken aback for a moment, and said, "But I didn't feel it." Chapter 59:17. As soon as he said this, Jian Wushuang felt that things were not as good as he thought. Perhaps the call below is for Wu Li. It has nothing to do with him. So we must get rid of him. Only this is possible. If he continues like this, he might be forced out. But now that he has reached this place, he can only bite the bullet and go down. Forget it, keep going. Break the jar. I didn't believe it. Why is it that he is the one who is unlucky every time? Follow the crack and continue down. A white light burst out of him. Light up the road ahead. The cracks under the mountain are very wet, and the bottom of the water flows along the stone walls. The stone walls are also covered with moss. The further down, the larger the gap space. Behind Wu Lidian, he walked in the forefront. The feeling of heart palpitations went from pressure to oppression. A lot of sweat came out on his forehead. But Wu Li was like an okay person, following behind, his eyes rolling around, looking around, for fear of encountering danger. Continue to walk for a quarter of an hour. The people outside are almost at the top of the mountain. They finally found something. The gap is not downward, but smoothly forward. After walking for a while, there is still an upward trend. The 3-foot sword in Wu Li's hand hummed. This means that you are very close to the target. Bright. Jian Wushuang, who was walking in front, saw light in front of him after turning the corner. Looking back at Wu Li, the two nodded. Without hesitation, the speed directly accelerated. Rushing towards the light source. It was only discovered after the two of them reached the light source. It turned out to be an exit. Cool. Walked out of the damp gap, under the light. The two of them saw everything in front of them clearly. A huge sky garden. Suspended above the water. Everything is arranged in order. There is no mess. Definitely built by man. Jian Wushuang is sure of this. Seeing this sky garden, Jian Wushuang didn't feel that kind of palpitations. But the water below has a sense of oppression. It is not waiting for him to look at the surface of the water. Wu Li flew out uncontrollably, toward the sky garden. But he was standing there, without any feeling. Wu Li, who was flying in the air, could see the face of this place clearly. Looking back, it was the Lowfoot Mountain. They walked from the gap to this place, which is equivalent to transcending this Lowfoot Mountain. This place is behind the Xiaojiao Mountain. A huge valley. Surrounded by mountains. There is a huge lake in the middle. There is a sky garden on the upper part of the lake. Jian Wushuang took the initiative to fly out at this time, and he wanted to keep up with Wu Li and discovered all this. The breath of the rest is on the top of the mountain now, and it will take some time to get here. They are equivalent to taking a shortcut. It can be regarded as a gain, and it is ahead of others. But it also has disadvantages. In case there is danger here. He can't hold it. Brother Wushuang, I'll go in first. Wu Li looked back at Jian Wushuang, and then took the initiative to enter the hanging garden. Where, he felt the source of the call. You wait for me. Jian Wushuang was anxious, his wings shook, and he wanted to keep up. But when he entered the sky garden, he bumped his head on the barrier. I found myself unable to get in. The enchantment is green and has a strong vitality. He does not believe in evil, one wants to use the power of life to try to crack it. However, I still couldn't get in. Damn it. Seeing Wu Li enter, he can't. If Wu Li swallowed the treasure privately, it would be a big loss. He really couldn't understand why Wu Li could get in, but he couldn't get in. If it has something to do with the treasure of the innate universe, he should also go in. But the life force disappeared after passing through the barrier. There is no way to shuttle at all. At this moment, a huge bubble appeared on the lake below. Jian Wushuang was taken aback. The figure lifted off quickly. That sense of oppression is getting closer. In the blink of an eye, a huge beast with countless eyes appeared on the surface of the lake, and it rushed directly out of the water. There are countless eyes and countless tentacles. The body is surrounded by many green vines. It is very similar to the Moyunteng of the Shunmu king. He was taken aback by the sudden emergence of everyone, and hurried to avoid the attacks of those tentacles. The breath suddenly changed, turning blue. There are also more green armors on his body. The divine power went from 1.5 million to 2 million in an instant. After performing super eternal thickening, his divine power directly increased to 4 million. Facing the shot below, he raised his hand and drew his sword, and slashed out directly. His current combat power is comparable to the 8 Tribulations realm. Blocking is still no problem. Those tentacles were not as powerful as he imagined, but the number of swords cut off the number of heals. But the sense of oppression is still so strong. This made Jian Wushuang very surprised. I always felt that there was a greater threat, and I didn't dare to fall in love with it. I asked my tentacles to quickly rush towards the direction of Xiaojiao Mountain. At this moment, King Shenmu had already stayed with Dan Bao and others and reached the top of the mountain. On the top of the mountain, there is this huge steely castle in the sky. The stone monument was opened by Dan Bao. The 4 characters of the upper division is very simple. Suffered from the last uneducated loss. According to the text on the stone tablet last time, they have been able to deduce it. Each has learned the language of the Palunga people. Danbaus is no longer needed. It seems to be the floating city under the mountain. Everyone came to the edge of the cliff together and looked down. Saw the sky garden that Jian Wushuang mistakenly thought. It is actually a city in the sky. I'll take the lead this time. Seeing the city of the sky, the Lord of Hungmu showed joy in his eyes and took the initiative to step forward. The face of the great monk remained unchanged. He comes from Wanliu universe and is most familiar with this place. Unfamiliar elsewhere. But he has heard of the legend here. In other words, he has understood the rumors of the Sky City. In the Wanliu universe, there is a legend. According to legend, in a certain secret realm of Wanliu universe, there is a city in the sky. It used to be the residence of a big man. Any arbitrary decoration inside can be infinitely beneficial. Which also contains the treasure of a big man. Even inheritance. This big man has an inextricable relationship with Wanlius origin. The Lord of Hungmu is a local, he must have heard of it. Dare to take the initiative. Of course, he went down with the 2 big beasts. He was naturally confident with 2 top beasts in the 8 Tribulations realm. The great monk also knew what was happening here, and had already told Dan Bao secretly. It's just that Dan Bao is not interested in this. If you go along, you can go in and take a look. Just forget it if you don't go along. Opportunity is also threatening. He doesn't need to take risks. What's more, with so many people. Chapter 59:18. But the great monk was very persistent this time, and kept persuading Dan Bao that it was best to go in. This may be related to which Lord Realm King. As they walked along, someone must have arranged everything secretly. Otherwise, why would it appear here? Instead of directly entering the world of God in the Wanliu universe. Dan Bao couldn't help it, and seeing the rest of the people all had golden light in their eyes. He who doesn't know how to refuse, can only nod his head. Take the lead by the Lord of Hungmu. King Shenmu didn't understand this place, but seeing Hungmu get on, he also went over. Although the great monk is very interested in this place, he can distinguish the priority and still stand by Dan Bao's side. By the way, where's Jian Wushuang? Lian Xing, who hadn't followed at this time, looked around and didn't find Jian Wushuang. He was surprised, he wouldn't be lost, right? Maybe it's in. The great monk added aside. He already felt Wu Li's breath and entered the Sky City. That's why it is so calm. There are treasures in the sky. But it's not that easy to get it. This legend has spread widely, from the 8 Tribulations realm to the mortals. But no one has found it. The great monk thought that this place was just a legend. I didn't expect to see it here today. That also shows that his guess is true. The path they took was arranged in advance by Lord Jiewang. Only after passing these tests can you enter the heavens and then go to the stairs of ascension to the universe. The first stone monument is just looking for Harisham. It's not that difficult. He didn't know what the intention was. But this place is different. Probably just to enter the city of the sky. There are absolutely very secret things. A scorching light appeared in his eyes. At this moment, a powerful breath broke out below the valley. Let's go. Dan Bao's figure flashed, and he directly led everyone to follow. There was a strong breath. The foremost Lord of Constant Wood had already seen the threat below. Jian Wushuang. The first thing I saw was Jian Wushuang, who was running away. Then countless vines came. Jian Wushuang also saw Hengmu's heart's joy, and quickly said, Hengmu, help me block him. Before Hengmu could answer, he flashed his figure, and passed by the Lord of Hengmu, and ran away without looking at each other. The Lord of Hengmu yelled, the vine had already arrived, and he had to stop. Fortunately, the vines with strong breath have a lot less power. As the native powerhouse of Wanliu, Lord Hengmu didn't know anything about the vines. After resisting for a while, I found that there was not much threat. Let the two war beasts go to clear the way. Continue to fly down by himself. Jian Wushuang had already seen the Shenmu King and Dan Bao and others at this time, so he didn't panic, standing there waiting for everyone to come. How about below? Dan Bao brought everyone here and looked at Jian Wushuang. There are some small waves, but there is not much threat. Jian Wushuang shook his head and continued with a sigh of relief. Wu Li, I have entered the Sky Garden, but when I wanted to enter, I was stopped. When they heard this sentence, everyone was taken aback. Wu Li went in, but Jian Wushuang couldn't. Many strong people don't know much about Wu Li. Most of them are paying attention to Jian Wushuang. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang was stopped, and Wu Li entered the Sky City alone. You didn't even go in. The great monk was also extremely surprised. He thought Jian Wushuang had gone in with Wu Li. But now Jian Wushuang was outside and Wu Li went in. This is indeed beyond his expectation. Since it's not too dangerous, let's go down and take a look. The scepter in Dan Bao's hand was shaken, and the shield was solidified again. Directly rushed down. The huge barren beast that rushed out of the water was comparable to the two war beasts. Indeed, as Jian Wushuang said, there was not much danger. The great monk or Shenmu King alone can deal with it. If you want to kill, everyone will shoot together. I'm afraid it won't take a few breaths to solve it. This is. The great monk looked deep. The Lord of Eternal Wood did not recognize this vine. But he knew. The monk looked surprised. Jian Wushuang asked, why, although this vine is not powerful, it is extremely weird. The oppressive feeling is too strong. It's almost inefficient. Can't underestimate it. If the great monk knew the identity of the other party, that would be best. Hearing Jian Wushuang's question, the great monk did not conceal it. He just looked at Dan Bao, and then said, Little Lord, if I didn't guess wrong, this should be the old ghost Chaiteng, a man who used to be in God. The Peak 8 Tribulations realm powerhouse, but he fell into a madness to find the Sky City, and later disappeared. He did not expect to appear here. After Dan Bao heard this, the scepter moved, trying to suppress Akatsuki with his life force. If it is a practitioner who has fallen into a madness, then there is no need to besieged, just drive away. Ukanshu. But the origin of his life, after touching the Chaiteng ghost, had no effect. This left many people in a daze. At the beginning, Dan Bao was able to suppress Kai Jiuxiao for a short time with his life force. Behind Kai Jiuxiao completely escaped from his life and was not suppressed by Dan Bao. How could an ancient cultivator who hadn't touched the peak of the 8 Tribulations realm now be able to block Dan Bao's suppression? Jian Wushuang's eyes flickered, and he always felt that the sense of oppression was getting stronger and stronger. There is something bad going to happen. It seems right now. Dan Bao couldn't suppress it. He hurriedly said to the Shenmu King and the great monk, since we can't suppress it, it's better to kill him together, it's a curse. Dan Bao is the of life, this kind of thing is not easy to do. Then leave it to them. Shenmu King and the great monk also had this plan a long time ago. Hearing Jian Wushuang's initiative, he immediately nodded in agreement. And deliberately avoided Dan Bao and rushed straight down. Dan Bao frowned. It is not because you become the of life that you will become the virgin. Actually, there is no need to do this. But with the support of everyone, he was protected too well. Be championed to become a god. On the road to becoming a god, even no blood was allowed to touch him. When I saw the great monk for the first time, I felt that what the other party said still had some truth. But now it seems that something is wrong. Jian Wushuang didn't think so much. He patted Dan Bao on the shoulder and said, "Don't worry, since he is not suppressed by you, it proves that he has been out of life long ago, and it has nothing to do with us if he died. Don't have too much pressure." Bru also came to persuade him at this time. Dan Bao shook his head without speaking. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.